We are drowning in data. We scroll through feeds, scan headlines, and absorb a million fragmented facts a day, often mistaking this massive consumption for actual independent thinking. But beneath all this noise is a deep psychological ache. We drop an apple and expect it to hit the ground. We swallow a pill and expect our headache to fade. We crave absolute guarantees, yet the universe rarely hands us direct confirmation of its physical laws. To survive this chaos, our brains had to develop a way to process raw information and calculate what is true. We built mental software, a system we call logic. To process reality, we rely on a certainty spectrum. This consists of 3 distinct algorithmic tools, moving from rigid, absolute guarantees on one end down to probabilistic guesses on the other. Identifying exactly which tool you are using at any given moment is the only way to separate a universal truth from a dangerous logical fallacy. At the rigid end of the spectrum sits deductive reasoning. This is a top-down approach. You start with a broad, overarching rule and filter it down to a specific, guaranteed conclusion. Ancient thinkers built their worldviews on this method. Philosophers like Socrates sought absolute mathematical and philosophical proofs to explain the mechanics of reality. The mechanics are straightforward. If your general rule is that gravity makes all objects fall, and you identify the stone in your hand as an object, you can deduce with 100% certainty that the stone will fall. But deduction has a fatal catch. There is a strict difference between an argument being valid and an argument being sound. Valid means the structural logic works. Sound means starting premises are true. Consider this. All penguins are black and white. Mary's pet is black and white. Therefore, Mary's pet is a penguin. The logic operates perfectly, but Mary probably has a cat. Deduction provides our only guarantee of truth, but it depends on having absolutely flawless starting rules. Moving down the spectrum, we find inductive reasoning, a bottom-up approach to the world. Instead of an established law, you use specific, repeated observations to build a new rule. If you observe 100 white swans, you generate a practical rule. Swans are white. This probabilistic method is the engine of the modern world. It powers AI machine learning models, algorithms finding patterns in massive datasets, and K-line charts tracking stock movements. Look at this. This chart shows a predictable upward trend based on past data, but it also illustrates the problem of induction. Just because a pattern held true 20 times in the past, the math cannot guarantee it will hold on the 21st attempt. Because every pattern has outliers, a black swan event that can shatter your theory in a single day. Logicians evaluate inductive arguments as strong or weak, rather than right or wrong. It never yields 100% certainty, but it provides the high probability generalizations required to test medications and predict the weather. But what happens when we face a unique crisis, a situation where we lack both a universal truth and historical data to draw from? We use abductive reasoning, or inference to the best explanation. This is the precise logic of troubleshooting and diagnostic guesswork. This framework was popularized by literature's greatest fictional detective, created by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Imagine finding a puddle on your floor and a knocked-over water bowl. It is technically possible a burglar broke in and spilled the water, but abduction requires you to rule out highly improbable scenarios to settle on the cat as the most plausible cause. These 3 logic types function as interlocking gears within a single research ecosystem. We use induction to observe patterns, deduction to test them against strict rules, and abduction to bridge the gaps when we encounter messy, anomalous data. Abduction empowers us to take decisive action when the universe hands us puzzles with missing pieces. Early thinkers used these structures to chip away at false assumptions, and that same rigorous questioning functions as a personal shield today. We often invite emotional distress through faulty logic. A few bad experiences in a row can feel like a strong inductive pattern, which we then use to deduce a false toxic rule that we are inherently unlovable. Applying the right logical tool helps us spot these traps. We can categorize those past events as weak observations rather than universal laws, using abduction to find a more plausible explanation for why things went wrong. We use induction to find the patterns in our lives, deduction to verify our truths, and abduction to step into the unknown when the data runs out. When we stop treating every anomaly as a personal catastrophe, the world feels less like a series of targeted attacks and more like a system we can finally navigate. Logic offers a specific kind of peace, the ability to look at a chaotic horizon and know exactly which tool to reach for. Subscribe for more deep dives into the mechanics of the mind.